Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shabarak Thug to the brothers. Yahweh Shemal Athah Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai to the sisters. This is the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. We start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the leadership of Commander General Yohana. And since 1969, we've been teaching this truth to so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that we are God's chosen people. We are the lost 12 tribes of the children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? We are the lost sheep of the house of Israel that Christ spoke about in Matthew chapter 15. You know what I'm saying? So what we do is shalom. Y'all shema Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. So what we do in the ISUPK is we bring our people back to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? We give our people the unfiltered truth. You know what I'm saying? We give our people the cure for their mental illness. You know what I'm saying? The cure for Stockholm syndrome. You know what I'm saying? The cure for poverty. We give our people the answers, the solutions. You know what I'm saying? And it seems impossible coming from our world. You know what I'm saying? Our world, it seems like it's hopeless. You know what I'm saying? We don't have no options, no outlets, no way to escape the form we in except for the Christian church. So we are here as black men, you know what I'm saying, and black women under the Most High God to be the example. You know what I'm saying? We are the example to our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? To our people for one, but to our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? We was at a Native American festival. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I'm in my Israelite regalia. You know what I'm saying? My Israelite garment, and they in theirs or whatever. And I was talking. Edomite came up to me. You couldn't tell if he was a native or if he was an Edomite, but he came up to me. He was like, "Yo, I think I seen y'all in Chicago." And shout out to Captain Mao Quad, the Midwest Monster Mayhem, and the brothers out there, Officer Yaradan, Officer Awalam Gabar, you know what I'm saying? All the mighty brothers out there, you know what I'm saying? That's Officer Ryan, that's under Captain Mao Quad, who goes out to the highways and byways to wake up the lost sheep. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's very important what we do in the work of the Lord because you never know who's watching. So the Edomite like, yeah, are you the guys that be having the Bible and y'all be on the street corners? I said, yes. He said, but y'all don't like white people. I said, should we like white people? He like, for the things they did to your people, no. I said, okay, all right, cool. So we talked for a little minute, and his partner came up to me and was like, yeah, if I was born black, they would have had to kill me because I wasn't going for what they was going for. I'd have needed revenge. He said, I don't know how y'all do it. It was racist what he said, but at the same time, it goes back to what I'm saying as far as the example. And I gave him one word, and I said, compassion. My people, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American, are the most compassionate people on the face of the earth. I was at my slave, and we had the slave since him, I in my class, right? I'm in training right now. So our people like, yo, yeah, that African is bugged out. And I say, yo, that African would never go for what we go for. He would never allow the amount of disrespect, the amount of warfare that been waged against us in this country. Africans would never allow it. No free person would ever allow it. But our people have allowed so much evil to be done to us, and we only seek love from the people who've done this evil. And I told him, the word I told him was compassion. We have to have compassion. You know what I'm saying? And there is no one more compassionate than us. That's the person who needs to rule the world. The person who needs to be in charge is the person that can actually have feelings for other people, that can feel bad for the condition that another group of people are in. So he laughed. He said, yeah, it's crazy because I was at church and that was the topic of church. At church, the topic was compassion. I said, there is no compassion in the church. You know what I'm saying? Because they teach love the white man and love America, but hate black people. You know what I'm saying? Hate Christ. The real Christ, according to the scriptures. So we're going to go over a little Native American history today. Today, the topic is Indigenous Peoples Day. Of course, our oppressor made a holiday, so-called, and it's not in the Bible or anything, to honor the Native Americans. Now, what you need to understand is when we say Native Americans, we are not talking about the $5 Indians. We are not talking about the Edomites that converted to being native. Because once again, the natives believe that the lineage goes through the mother. So if an Edomite has a baby, with a native woman, that baby would be a part of the clan and will grow up. But in all reality, that baby is an Edomite. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say it one more time, nice and slow. The Native American, throughout their history and their culture, which they adapted, was a matriarch, meaning everything goes through the mother side. So if an Edomite had a baby with a Native American woman, that baby would be classified as a Native American Indian from the whatever clan. But in all reality, that baby would be an Edomite. You know what I'm saying? So we got to understand that Edomites have infiltrated the Native American culture. So just because somebody lives on the reservation, somebody's claiming to be a native, doesn't make them native. A lot of the natives are black. So I got a video. It's very educational. If you pay attention to any of my classes, you know my classes are very educational. Like, this is not a joke. I say this almost all the time. This is not a joke. This is not a game. I'm not here to make you laugh. I'm not an entertainer. You know what I'm saying? We are officers and priests and captains, you know what I'm saying, and generals in the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Knowledge. So we are a school. Your job is to get educated. If you want to laugh, there's many other platforms you can go to laugh. You know what I'm saying? Here, we about education. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I did have a conversation with a brother, and I asked him, I said, do your history connect the correlation between your people and my people? And he said no. He said they don't speak on it. Even though there's tribes, whole Native Americans tribes that are dark as me and darker. He said it's tribes down south, the Cherokee, the Blackfoot, you know what I'm saying, the Pequot. It's tribes that the tribal members were darker than us. So they ain't denying that we have some type of correlation or history. They just don't emphasize that in their culture. They only emphasize them. And it's so the spirit of America. The spirit of America has divided blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, where Dominicans only recognize themselves as Dominican, where Puerto Ricans only recognize themselves as Puerto Ricans, where black people only recognize themselves as African American, where we all are tribes of a nation, but we don't identify with each other. You know what I'm saying? We don't identify with each other. We identify individually. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem with America, because we are not individuals. We did not end up in captivity individually. We went into captivity as a nation. The Native American Indians went into captivity as a nation. The Taino Indians went into captivity as a nation. The African Americans went into captivity as a nation. The Jamaicans went into captivity as a nation, as a group of people. So what we have to do is come back to our roots. We will show much love. Of course, they marveled at the correlation between us and them. And I had a brother, a Gadite brother, ask me, like, "Yo, who made that belt?" Mind you, he's selling belts for $300, starting at $300. He got $300, $400, $500 belts. I pull up with my belt with the lion head on it. He like, "Yo, that belt is fire." And I kid you no lie, our cultures are the same, minus a little bit of the infiltration of the white man. The Native American culture and the Israelite culture is the exact same. Let me see if I can get something. So, boom, just to skip right to the point, because I do have a video. It's about 20 minutes. It's very educational. Just listen. It's an Edomite talking, but listen to the details. I will be stopping it periodically. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna bring out a few scriptures, and I have an article as well. So we're gonna dig right into it. You know what I'm saying? And like this, and don't real quick, don't get caught up that the Native American people don't like our people. Don't get caught up that the Hispanic people don't like our people. Never get caught up on who likes what, because we hate each other. Black people hate black people. Hispanic people hate Hispanic people. Native American people hate Native American. Jamaican people hate Jamaican people. Haitian people hate Haitian people. So don't, just because they don't like us or accept us, don't make them not our people. That's not the guidelines. You know what I'm saying? But the guidelines that make us one is blood. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go into it. Salakia.
And also in this landmass from coast to coast and everywhere in between, there lived hundreds, if not thousands of different nations, tribes of people whose land this was. This was their home. But then others showed up to these shorelines in their boats. And that is when everything changed. In the spring of 1803, two American politicians visiting Paris closed the sweetest real estate deal they had ever seen. With the simple stroke of a pen, their country doubled in size, all for just $15 million. But in this deal, which was called the Louisiana Purchase, the US didn't actually buy this land from France. France didn't actually own the land. What the United States was buying was the imperial rights to this huge swath of North America. This basically meant that France would stay out of the way and let the budding new empire, the United States, colonize it without interfering. If the United States really wanted ownership over this land, they would need to get it from the people who were here first, which at the time was lots of different native tribes. These are the people who had been here for thousands of years, way before Europeans had the idea of leaving their continent. And this land that the US just bought was theirs.
If you're wondering, like these in university, one of my secret weapons.
Oh, and this isn't just me, like some modern enlightened person looking back and judging the United States at this time. The US knew that this wasn't their land and that they were going to have to buy it from the people living there. And their big plan was to do things differently, not like the old imperial powers that they had just broken away from. In fact, George Washington was, quote, determined that the US government's administration of Indian affairs shall be directed entirely by the great principles of justice and humanity. Go USA, let's do this in the right way. So instead of conquest, they would negotiate and sign formal treaties with these native nations. Then they would pay them for their land, fair and square. After all, this was a country whose founding document highlights justice, tranquility, welfare, and liberty. In our series, How the US Stole.
So it's a couple of things that he said, right? We're gonna pull a couple scriptures too. He said that Christopher Columbus or George Washington and the founding fathers, they put the Native and Indian affairs ruled by justice and what he said, humanity, which is a lie. You know what I'm saying? So what we're gonna do is find out exactly who these people are. These people that came to colonize was prophesied in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? They was prophesied to come and to take over a land. You know what I'm saying? And to subjugate a people. And well, of course, we have the prophecies So we can prove that these people are the Edomites. These Edomites came over to America and colonized not just native people, the children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? Like he said, many different tribes, because it wasn't just one tribe over here. Paraphrasing the second Ezra, chapter 13, verses 39 through 40, it tells you that 10 tribes came over here. You know what I'm saying? 10 tribes who would be recognized as Indian, Native, like I said earlier, Taino, Seminole Indian, North American Indian, Incans, Mayans, Aztecs, all of these tribes of Israel that were over here, and our oppressor came over here to do something different. And the way he wanted to do things was, like he said, like through justice. So I got a scripture. Shalom, y'all, Bashim, yo, Shabra, I got a scripture, you know what I'm saying, we're going to talk about. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. Now that beast is the Roman Empire. You know what I'm saying? The revised Roman Empire, which it would be known as America. And he had two horns like a lamb. And when they say he had two horns like a lamb, meaning a horn represents power. His power is in peace. See, a lamb is peaceful. A lamb is not a predator. A lamb don't hunt animals. A lamb grazes. You know what I'm saying? A lamb eats grain and things like that. So when it says he had two horns like a lamb, meaning his power come from peace. You know what I'm saying? Like come from speaking peace. He's saying, yeah, we want peace. We want deals. And he spake as a dragon, meaning he's saying peace, but he's really like a dragon, meaning he don't really want peace. He's saying peace, but he wants war. You know what I'm saying? The scripture saying in Psalm chapter 55, the words of his mouth was as smooth as butter, but war was in his heart. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's going on. Let me see if I can get that. The words of his mouth was smooth as butter. They want justice and liberty for all. That's what they want. That's what they said they want. Justice and liberty. Meanwhile, you have the Trail of Tears. You know what I'm saying? You have the Trail of Tears where you walk all these Native American Indians out of their land. Whoa, right here, got it. You know what I'm saying? Got it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't too slack when it comes to scriptures. Listen to this. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. That's the so-called white man. The so-called white man came over here with these Native American Indians and made 150 million treaties with them. We're just going to stay over here. We got guns. We got girls. Whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? We're going to stay over here. Just help us. We help you. Meanwhile, at night, they have a council how they're going to overthrow these Native American Indians. That's what it means. He spake as a dragon. He ain't meaning to be peaceful with you. He's saying peace, but he wants war. Salakia.
We get to see how the U.S. grew from a group of English settlers to a global superpower. But none of those stories would exist without this one. The Ori, the first thing that the U.S. ever stole.
Rent a car from our newest fleet yet. Your real car never has to know.
So Europeans are pouring into this newly formed country, the United States. And the government is making deals and signing treaties with the tribes allowing these newcomer immigrants to settle on their land. At first, this is a fairly peaceful transactional process. The US would offer food, farming equipment, cash, the services of a blacksmith, all in exchange for ownership over this land. But unsurprisingly, a lot of these tribes had no interest.
Now, a lot of that is lies. None of it was exchanged for ownership of the land. The land, they gave them pieces of the land. And this is another thing that I found real interesting, because before I came into the truth, of course, I did thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of research on the Native American tribes, us trying to trace our roots and comparing and contrasting us to the so-called Native American Indian. Now, and it was a part of the Constitution, the Native American Constitution, that they believe that the land is not theirs. The land is God's, and they are just sojourners. So they can't sell the land one to another. They just pass the land down from generation to generation to generation to generation. Let me see if I can find this. Here. Boom. So I got one right here. Let's see if I can get the chapter. And I'm like, wow, that's exactly what it says in the Bible. Now, mind you, these people are supposed to be nowhere, no shape, no way, similar to the natives or similar to the ancient Israelites. So we're gonna get a scripture right here. Watch what this scripture says. This is Leviticus chapter 25 and 23. The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine, for ye are strangers and sojourners with me. This is what the Bible had to say. This is what God told the Israelites when we was creating laws. He said, we want to give inheritance. Everything is going to be passed down from generation to generation. The land cannot be sold. You can't sell the land of Judah to the Germans for $25 million because the land is God. That's exactly what the Native American Constitution said. The Native they can't do nothing with your money, so they lie, like they always do. I found that a crazy coincidence. And then I was talking to the sister, you know what I'm saying? And she was saying, like, yo, so what's this you got going on? Because I'm dressed in my Israelite stuff. And she like, yo, oh, Israel. She's like, yeah, I know about that. She said, yeah, our culture is similar. You know what I'm saying? She's like, yo, when you go into it, even the rituals, our rituals and the way we practice, the way we worship God is similar. Very similar. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to let the Edomite go on. Salakia for interrupting. He gets into it.
And moving out of their ancestral lands in exchange for like farming equipment. And this is where all of George Washington's ideals of justice and humanity really start to dissolve. The US was becoming a more powerful nation. They needed more land for their booming population. So the impatient settlers and their government started playing dirty.
The westward movement was like a great tidal wave.
You start to see what happens when these tribes say no to the newly powerful United States. In one instance, one group of tribes up near the Great Lakes didn't want to sell their land. They told the United States that this river would be the border and to not cross it, to stay off their land. the US said no, and they took them to war and lost twice.
And that's another thing Esau won't tell you, which I found out doing my research, that the Native Americans was whooping ass. Salakia, excuse my language. The Native Americans was tearing them settlers up. See, they were at war. Like when they first came to America in like 1500, the end of 1500, like 1490. The first slaves didn't get over here until about 1620. So you got to ask yourself, what was happening for 120 years? I'm going to tell you what was happening. Belt to ass is what was happening. Them Native Americans they even got it recorded and documented how these people were masters at guerrilla warfare. Like even the United States military stole a lot of the tactics that they use today from the Native Americans, as far as using the land, going to war at night, you know what I'm saying? Doing a lot of the things, using the swamps, using the rivers, using the environment. You know what I'm saying? They learned a lot of that from the Native Americans. You know what I'm saying? And going through the Indigenous Day thing, a lot of our brothers and sisters, the Native Americans, were in their military, teaching them a lot. You know what I'm saying? More so the land. They didn't know this land. They had to be taught this land. You know what I'm saying? And they were losing a lot. Like he said, they went and fought against the tribes by the 5 Great Lakes and lost twice. So a lot of good.
But on the third time, they won the battle and forced the tribes to sign a treaty giving away all of this land, basically all of present-day Ohio. Something very similar happened down here when the Seminole tribes refused to leave their land. The US military came in, another war, killing thousands, forcing the tribes to sign a treaty and pushing them into the swampy interior of the state, where they had no access to their farmland or the ocean. Down here in what was becoming Alabama, the Muskogee Nation refused to sign a relocation treaty, but not wanting to go to war, agreed to sell a portion of their land in return for a guarantee that they could keep the rest. And the United States agreed, and they actually did. And the Muskogee kept their ancestral lands forever. Womp womp, no, that didn't happen. 4 years later, a bunch of white settlers moved in, boxing the Muskogee out of their ancestral land. As tensions grew because of this violated agreement, the US military was called in to force the Muskogee out of their lands. No treaty was ever signed. I mean, the shenanigans ranged the whole gamut here. They would get tribal leaders drunk to trick them into signing this paper that gave them all the land. They would appoint...
Like, yo, the white man is the devil. And if you think of lying, watch this. It's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. I got an article how Christopher Columbus brought a Hebrew interpreter to these islands where he was scouting for the British. Or for Spain, Slovakia. He brought Hebrew interpreters. Why? Why would a Spaniard bring Hebrew-speaking translators to these native indigenous people of these islands? Want to know why? Because what they found out is that these people spoke Hebrew. They all spoke different dialects of Hebrew. All of them. Every last one. And then nothing changed when they reached the Americas. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna blow your mind when you realize that Christopher Columbus never even made it to America. He started the voyage. He made going to these areas and colonizing it popular. So where many people started doing it after that.
Random people to be the tribal leaders and then tell them to sign away the land for the whole tribe. In another conflict, the Sioux and Arapaho nations defeated the US military over and over until the US finally signed a peace treaty acknowledging their land. And they were safe. Until gold was discovered 8 years later, and the US broke their treaty, redrew the boundaries, built roads on their land, and before you know it, you've got a bunch of white guys with gold pans harvesting this land. Treaties and justice.
Now, just to show you that the white man is the devil and that the same thing happened to us, when we became prominent and we started building up these cities, first they forced us to the inner cities. Once we started building up the inner cities, they started making highways through where black people went. They started making railroads through where black people live. So that way they can travel without ever having to cross paths with black people. So that they can destroy the infrastructure of black people. Because black people are very, 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 very profitable. That's one thing all nations know, that black people are very profitable, whether it means using them for consumption, because we are the number one consumers, or using them for marketing, because we are the number one marketing tool on the earth. You give it to black people and they make it look good. Who you think made Rolls Royces look good? You think white people made Rolls Royces look good? No, black people did. Who you think made Jordans look good? Black people. Jordan said the shoe wasn't made for black people. It was made for white fans, people who had the money to buy them. But yet we put them on. And woo, wee. Whatever we do, we are the number one thing on the earth. So they always attack our infrastructure. The same thing with the Native Americans. Like, you got to see these people. They have no factories. They have no contracts. They don't have nothing. And the material that they make is immaculate. Like you had to see it to believe it. You had to see it to believe it. Salakia.
Be damned. Eventually, other tribes caught on to what was going to happen, realizing that refusing the U.S. government would mean violence. So they would sign the paper, take the money, and leave. Over the course of almost 100 years, the United States signed 368 treaties with tribal nations, who were driven out one way or another to make way for white settlers, who established control over this land that their government had stolen for them. And yes, you have all the paperwork, all the spreadsheets that they were making, all the treaties, a nice paper trail. But this was all a facade of justice, a thinly veiled campaign for imperial conquest. Before we go on to the story.
And the problem with our people is, right, our people, our people admire the willpower of the so-called white man. So to this day, because that's another thing I was asking a lot of the Native American tribes, because it was a lot of tribes that I was around. You know what I'm saying? Like or clans, I could say. They have clans. So they'll have the Beaver clan, the Eel clan, the Wolf clan, the Snipe clan. You know what I'm saying? The Turtle clan. They have all these different clans, and all these different clans believe different things. Because I had a few of them that said, yeah, we don't associate with black people like that. Then a few of them said, yeah, we are brothers and we are sisters. Like I told you, the one sister said, yeah, a lot of our rituals and all of our customs and cultures are the same. But you have the ones that want to be white. And that's no different than black people. You have black people that want to be white. You have Hispanic people that want to be white, because we are not stupid people. We see the power of the so-called white man, and we think he is God, meaning power. God means power in the Hebrew. Allah Hayam. You know what I'm saying? We see his power and we bow down to it. You know what I'm saying? We bow down to it. Any man would bow down to power. But the thing about us is we are the prince of the power, the ultimate power, which is Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the power. That's it. All that they got is going to be ripped from them, and you're going to see it right in front of you. But a lot of our people are blind. So what the Edomite is saying is, it's true. Like, we lost a lot of land. Our brothers lost a lot of land, lost a lot of power, and a lot of our people joined them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our people joined the so-called white man and helped further destroy his people, giving giving their daughters to their sons, breaking Deuteronomy chapter 7, marrying in. Now, most Native Americans, you can barely even tell the difference. I told you, I was talking to Edomite. I'm thinking he a native brother. And this is how you know it's not about skin color too. I told him, I say, yo, it's not about skin color. We don't hate white people because they're white. Because we have Native Americans in our school. Shalom, sis. We got Native Americans in our school that they can pass for white people. We got Puerto Ricans in our school that skin complexion wise, they can pass for white people. It's not about skin complexion. It's about your bloodline. Who is your father? So these Native American tribes, like they have been so infiltrated by the white man that a lot of them are white. The Edomite bloodline is running through them. And the black Indians are shunned. You know what I'm saying? The dark Indians are shunned. And a lot of things, a lot of history they don't want to tell you too is a lot of them Native Americans went into slavery first. See what I'm saying? They went into slavery first with us. That's why if you talk to any black person, they're going to tell you they have Native American in their family because we were all slaves together. You know what I'm saying? We were all slaves together. Only a tiny escape due to intermixing, breeding, like you said, taking the treaties, trusting the so-called white man.
I just need to tell you that we don't have a sponsor for today's video. Lately, I've been hearing from some sponsors that my videos are too political, which is kind of a bummer because we work really hard to tell really cool stories. And if that means that people don't want to sponsor us, that's fine. Luckily, we have a Patreon where all of you can support this work. It's called The Newsroom. We call it The Newsroom because it just sounds cooler than Patreon. But it is a place where you can ask me anything. But more importantly, you get the warm fuzzy feeling that was going down. Here in the Deep South, you had these 5 large nations that lived side by side with the settlers for a long time. They had all signed treaties with the United States that acknowledged their right to this land. Many of them spoke English, practiced farming, wore European clothes. Some even owned slaves.
That's a fact too. That's another thing you'll hear. Well, Native Americans own slaves too. The white man, black people own slaves too. You know what I'm saying? Like the white man will use his power to divide us, and he always did it. But you know, a lot of the Native Americans were buying slaves to get their freedom. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them was buying us so we can be free on their lands. You know what I'm saying? Like this man is diabolical. The things he did to our people is diabolical. You see, all that land is Indian land and made them sign rights to have rights to their own land. What he said, a lot of them spoke English. Where did they learn English from? Did they learn it willingly? No. He said a lot of them wore European clothing, meaning suits and ties. Where did they learn how to wear European clothing from? From them. Peacefully? No. He said, we'll go back 2 seconds.
Wore European clothes. Some even owned slaves. Because of this,
He said some even owned slaves. Good night. Good night.
5 tribes, the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Muskogee, and Seminole, were known as the 5 civilized tribes. And there's an alternative world where these tribes could have remained on their land, living side by side with the Europeans as they settled. But
it was no way they were going to be able to live side by these people because these people never planned on living side by side. They always planned on taking over the whole land. They wanted it all, and they were fighting each other for it. So you had 3 major Edomite tribes that came to America. You have the Spaniards, white people. You had the French, France, white people, and you had the British, England, white people. They were all fighting over this land, this new world, where they felt like they can take this land and enslave the people of this land. And when that wasn't enough, they felt like they can bring slaves to this land to till the land once they destroyed the Indians, because they got articles where they slaughtered so many Native American Indians they had to import slaves in to do the labor, because other than that they had to do a lot of the labor. It was a lot of work that needed to be done. You know what I'm saying? Just like in the kingdom of heaven, it's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done.
That's not what happened, mostly because of cotton. Farmers down here were getting super rich off of a very valuable cash crop called cotton that they could sell to textile mills around the world. It was an industry made even more profitable by its key input, free labor from stolen Africans. There was this one strip of
Diabolical. That is diabolical. So now you take these people's land and realize it's a lot of cotton over here. So who you think was picking the cotton first? You think stolen Africans just came over here and started picking cotton? We have the articles. Precinct Officer Sabiyab has the articles. They enslaved the Native Americans. They enslaved the Taino Indians. They enslaved all of our people in all of these islands in Jamaica and Puerto Rico and Dominican and Hispaniola. That's what it was called before it was called the Dominican Republic and Haiti. It was called Hispaniola. All the West Indians, they enslaved the native people of that land and made them work the land first. And they had years and years to practice it, to the point where by the time they brought us African Americans over here, all we had to do was just go right to work. They already had the plantations. They had everything set up. They already had slaves there already. They were already at war. They already had military pacts, treaties with the people. They were getting funded from everybody. They were getting funded from Spain. They were getting funded from Britain, and they were getting funded from France. Why do you think Canada is owned by the French? Why do you think out west was owned by the Spanish? Why do you think the East Coast was owned by England? Because these Edomites were fighting for this land and helping each other gain it.
land down here called the Black Belt Prairie that was particularly desirable for farming cotton. But as you can see, it was locked up in what the United States treaties had formally acknowledged as belonging to native nations. But the farmers down here were looking at this as like, this is a perfect place to expand our cotton kingdom. So, these southern slave owners did what was kind of becoming US policy towards the people living on the land that they wanted. They made up their own rules. The state of Georgia was particularly aggressive in trying to clear this land out, or in the words of their governor at the time, to replace, quote, all of the red with white population. They targeted the Cherokee Nation, passing a law that abolished their governments. The Cherokee are not going to stand for this, so they fight back using the same shenanigans that the United States is trying to use, the US legal system. They take Georgia to court, a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court. And guess what? The Cherokee Nation won. Like, there was no way around the fact that they had ironclad rights to this land, signed and sealed. The highest court in the country just ruled that the states could not impose on tribal sovereignty. But
you see how I pulled this scripture that said that he will send a fierce nation against thee. You know what I'm saying? As swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Meaning, these people playing paperwork games. And you think you're going to beat them at their own game? That language thou does not understand. You don't understand how they talk. You don't understand how they live. They are not going to keep their agreements.
as we all learned in government class, a ruling from the judicial branch only works if the executive branch enforces it. Oh, and who was in charge of the executive branch? Oh, this guy. The guy who wrote a letter to his wife during the War of 1812 from the battlefield saying that he had successfully slaughtered 170 Native Americans in, quote, an elegant style. Oh, and the guy who's on our $20 bill? Yeah, him. Andrew Jackson thought that negotiating treaties with the people who were living here was a ridiculous notion. So he looks at the Supreme Court ruling that validated the Cherokees' right to their land, and he literally responds in the snarkiest way possible, saying, "The Chief Justice, John Marshall, has, quote, made his decision, now let him enforce it." No, he was not going to enforce it. Jackson had a different plan in mind. It came in the form of a new law that he pushed through both houses of Congress. His whole worldview towards First Americans embodied in a piece of American legislation, the Indian Removal Act of 1830. This law used taxpayer money to get tribes out of the United States and to relocate them to an uninhabitable place that surely no American settler will ever end up.
The Great Plains seemed an inhospitable land to people familiar with the eastern states and of Europe.
This became their dumping ground, and it came with a promise. Move here and we will never mess with you again. And what's crazy to me is that even after all of the...
That is crazy. The Indian Removal Act. But it came with a promise. Move here and we'll never mess with you again. You know what that sounds like? Gentrification. That sounds like gentrification on a whole new level. We're going to knock your power out, get you out of here, and we're going to move somebody else in. Listen, I was talking to the Native Americans, man, and you know, I'm in the ISUPK under Commander General Yohana. So Commander General Yohana instilled wisdom in us that's beyond anything that you can learn in the world. Meaning, we understand warfare. We understand when a nation is at war with another nation. That's something that the Native Americans, they lost. Like, it was a sister, she was teaching how she's a descendant of the families, the first family that was there to meet the settlers when they first arrived. The family that accepted them and brought them in. She said she's a descendant of that family. But yet she don't know that these people are at war with her. Not were, they are at war with you. Their warfare is not physical. Like the scriptures say. Like, remember, these are the tribes of Israel. This Bible is theirs. They gave up the Bible. You know what they gave up the Bible for? They gave up the Bible for philosophy, for spirituality. You know what I'm saying? They believe in all the stupid shit that black people believe in America. They believe in all of that. They believe in zodiac signs. They believe in the turtle. They believe in the bear. They believe in all of that stupid nonsense given to them and shoved in their face by the so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? They believe in that stuff, but they don't believe in the truth. Same thing with all the tribes. All the tribes will not accept the truth, but they will accept the lie. That's what it means when it says that the beast had power to give Oslakia. He gave power to the image that he could deceive the whole earth. To the point where the Native Americans don't want to hear nothing about no Jesus. They don't want to hear about Jesus. What? The white guy? No. We want to hear about Mother Nature. Tell us about how women are gods. Let's talk about the matriarch. Same thing that Egyptology shit did with black people. The woman is God. All life stems from the woman. All that sound good to destroy a people. Everybody on the face of this earth knows in order to raise up a nation, it has to have men. It ain't no such thing as the Amazon. What is it? The Amazonians, a nation full of nothing but women. That's an imagination. It's not real. All nations are built by men. All nations go to war for what they have. And there's going to be no difference with the nation of Israel. We just have to get over this. We have to get over this, man. We have to get over this philosophy. And we have to have compassion on our brothers and sisters, man. We have to. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't come to the event to destroy anything that they believe in. I told them all straight up. We just here to support. You know what I'm saying? Like, we believe we are brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? So we coming to support. We coming to buy some merch. We coming to support you. What y'all got? What y'all selling? Paintings? So y'all bought a painting. You know what I'm saying? Like, we bought shirts. We done bought things. We came to support. They had food, they had drinks, they had things going on. We came just to show you we are brothers and sisters. Because at the end of the day, brotherhood is going to bring the kingdom of God. Brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to show them that we are one. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of you. And if anybody got any questions, y'all can type them in the chat. It was just Indigenous Day. You know what I'm saying? They had an event. So we did go to the event, you know what I'm saying, to support. I probably play some clips of the event, maybe a couple shorts or whatever. If I could. It's a lot of you.
The shenanigans, all the facades, they continued to play this charade, saying that the nation of Indians may choose to exchange their land where they now reside. The law says that the government had to negotiate these treaties fairly, voluntarily, peacefully, and that the government would, quote, forever secure and guarantee them their new land, and that they wouldn't break any of the pre-existing agreements that they had made in previous treaties. But no, this was just more pretending. A paper trail of pretend humanity. Just as Andrew Jackson had ignored the Supreme Court ruling, he had no intention in following the law that he helped create. But he kept up the ruse. More documents, more signatures, more paper that made these civilized, justice-minded people feel like they weren't orchestrating a mass ethnic cleansing, sanctioned by the government, paid for by taxes, but they were. So this law is implemented. And
so that's another thing the so-called white man do. And that's what Christianity is founded upon. Christianity is founded upon the fact that a group of people can do so much evil and it can be justified. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you would think as Christians, right? Because these are Christians that's committing all of these acts. They believe in Christ, white Jesus. So you would think somebody who believes in Christ, believes in God, believes in the Bible would make the Bible their law. What makes the Bible their moral code? What makes the Bible their ethics? But no, they don't make the Bible their ethics, the Bible their law, their Bible their code. They make another. They form another. These are not the children of God. They're not. The children of God would be using the laws of God, the word of God, the history of God. No, these people use something entirely different. They use deceit, lies, all to justify. Like, this man is on a $20 bill. You got a 20 in your pocket. This is him. This is him. Andrew Jackson. He became famous for unaliving. Now, and don't let these Edomites fool you and trick you when they say, I never enslaved anybody. I never did anything. These people appreciate their forefathers for giving them. This land is amazing, yo. This land is beautiful. Like, yo, this land is beautiful. Like, I was talking to a brother at the slave. He was like, yo, I love America. And I told him, I hate America. I can't stand America. He said, what do you mean? This place is amazing. He said, from all the states, you get the best views, the best everything. I said, you talking about the land. I'm talking about the government. You know what I'm saying? Of course, this government is horrible. But the place that this government is set up on, the land, is amazing. California, Las Vegas, Florida, Alabama, New York. New York is amazing. North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta. This place is amazing. And they took it all by deceit, not by the laws of God. Because the law of God said the land shall not be sold forever. So why are you trying to buy these people land? Oh, you don't believe in God. You believe you are God. You believe you make the law. You make the Constitution, the rules, the rights, what's morally correct and what's not. And all of it is just to justify the evil. Oh, they're savages. We have to symbolize them. Mind you, in this area, they said they were known amongst white people as the 5 civilized tribes. They were known amongst white people as the five Indigenous tribes. Still destroyed them and stole their land. Sloppy.
The United States government, military, and even private companies start to ramp up their removal efforts of first Americans. They focus in on these 5 tribes that were sitting atop the land that they wanted for their cotton empire. More bribes, more pretend negotiations, and when push came to shove, more threats of violence. The Cherokee eventually signed a treaty agreeing to sell their last portion of land, and they moved west, out to their little rectangle of land that had been allocated to them by the government on maps. The only problem was that the leader who signed the treaty on behalf of the Cherokee people was not actually the real leader. They had no authority to make this decision. The Cherokee chief furiously protested this, but the US didn't care. They had their signature from someone. In their eyes, all was justified. Between 1831 and 1838, nearly every member from the 5 tribes was expelled from their land.
Between 1831, mind you, this is school. This is class. You're going to be educated today. Between 1831 and 1838, don't tell me about no Holocaust, man. I don't want to hear about no Holocaust. Man. Don't tell me about no Hitler. I don't want to. These people are worse than Hitler. Like, these people are diabolical. From 1831 to 1838, nearly every member of the 5, not some, nearly every member of the 5 tribes were expelled. Like, it's so much Native American history. Like, and this coming from the point, their position. When you talk to the natives, it's even worse. It's even worse. But Esau is so prideful, he has to document all the evils that he do, to put it in your face, to let you know, I did this. I stole this land. Good night. For 7 years, they got rid. You know how much murder you got to do? You know how much unaliving you have to do for 7 years to get rid of 5 tribes and land so big? Like, that land is so big. Yo, it's pissing me off talking about it. It's pissing me off. I know the spirit of these people. And if you don't know the spirit of these people, you are going to find out. You are going to find out the spirit of the oppressor. Like, anybody that ever been to prison, you know the spirit of white people, because they have that spirit. I always told myself when I did my time, I say, yo, these white people have to be the white people that enslaved us, because the white people that's in the free world, they're not strong enough to take us. Because I always said as a kid, like, yo, how did they take us into slavery? And then you go to prison and you find out these people are vicious. They don't care about showers, soap. They don't care about nothing but war. That's it. They are going to fight you, and they want to be in charge. And they're running this place like it's theirs while you do all the work. Good night. They got rules. You can't even look some of them in their eyes. You can't they call it reckless eyeball. You can't even look at them. They'll F you up. Seriously.
100,000 people whose home.
They'll kill you. Like they did Robert Brooks. Them are the people who said, yo, we need slaves. And we're going to attack them, and we're going to enslave them. And all Edomites have that in them. They are just not going to let you know it. They're going to pretend like they're so justice and peace and humanity. And when the time represents this, you think it wasn't white people that knew that this was wrong? You think it wasn't no white man that knew what they were doing to the Native American Indians was wrong? Yes. You think it wasn't white people that knew that what they were doing to the so-called African American was wrong? Yes. Yes. But did it stop? No. It's not going to stop, because it's only so much. Like, it's a Edomite named John Brown. He's one of the most famous Edomites in the ISUPK because this Edomite died for the freedom of slaves. And there was many other Edomites that died for us. That's what you're going to have to do because you can't live and be accepted by these people so diabolical. They killed their own people that went against them. Yo, hey, that's wrong. You shouldn't do this to them. You die now. You die now. And it was a few Edomites that didn't die for so-called black people. And that's another thing we had talked. I had talked with the Edomite at the indigenous thing. And I told him when we speak about white people, we speak in general. We're not speaking about you, Tom, personally. None of this is personal. It's all general. In general, white people have been the devil on the earth. Is it some white people that know that they're wrong? Yes. We have white people that kiss our boots. Yes, they apologize. Yes, they know that they're wrong for the things that they did. But them as a whole, their rulership is not admitting it. They're benefiting. They're like actively benefiting off the backs of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And then to have the nerve to have Columbus Day. Good night.
This was. Now forced to walk by foot for more than 1,000 miles through brutal weather and terrain towards a little box on the map, a place they had never been before. The Cherokee would eventually call this journey the Trail Where We Cried, or the Trail of Tears. Some tried to fight back against their oppressors, and others stood their ground until they were forcibly bound in chains by the US government and herded west at gunpoint. Their land was vacant, and cotton farmers with their slaves moved in, and the economy grew.
And cotton farmers with their slaves moved in, and it grew. You can't tell us we're not the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. You can't tell me. You can't tell me none of this was written biblically. You can't tell me, or you don't know the Bible.
We'll never know how many people died during all of this, how many lives were really destroyed. Some people say 3,000, other estimates say 15,000, but you don't need those numbers to see how destructive this was. It was systematic, it was documented, and it was enshrined in law. We have a paper trail of all of it, showing the receipts, the payments, the treaties, the bureaucracy of it all. It's like a bunch of spreadsheets from the 1800s. American settlers, in an effort to be different from the old world empires they fled, ended up carrying out the first state-sponsored ethnic cleansing. There's a reason why Hitler, 100 years later, references this exact event, this process.
And it's crazy because America paint Hitler as evil. When Hitler studied them and learned what they did to blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans and said, I can do the same thing. And he wasn't even close. He was not remotely close to committing the evils that America had committed against the indigenous people of this earth. Good night. He used them as a reference.
When he was carrying out his own ethnic cleansing, he said that the Volga, which was a river in Russia, would be, quote, our Mississippi. He said that Europe, not America, would be the land of unlimited possibilities. The story of what happened to many nations of the first Americans doesn't end here. In fact, this is kind of the beginning. We're gonna make a second part to this video, and in that part 2, I wanna show you what happens next once these tribes arrive to their little rectangle on the map. Indian Territory, the place where these tribes were forced out, dumped, and left to build a new life. And how they once again tried to fight back using the legal frameworks that had pushed them out, and how all of that led to the establishment of one state in our country that could have looked a lot different.
Like you can't beat the so-called white man at his own game. I got this scripture, I'm gonna read it again. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Like these people, like their whole Their whole plan was to take that land. And our people, being the people we were, or we are, was so compassionate on them. Even to this day, the Native Americans don't want no war with the so-called white man. But I'm gonna go into. We're gonna finish the video. So, like, we're gonna finish the video. I do have a prophecy about the tribe of Gad. You know what I'm saying? We got a prophecy about the tribe of Gad. We're gonna go into it. We're gonna finish the video because they will. I'm gonna start from the top. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. So if anybody know anything about us in the ISUPK, we have what we call the 12 tribes chart. The 12 tribes chart have been revealed to us by the Most High God since 1969. You know what I'm saying? And without the proof of who these tribes are, only prophecies and the Lord, now later on in the age we live in now, which is information, we could be able to Google, we could be able to go to Wikipedia. We got many ways we can find sources. Are we actually finding that the chart for the tribes is true and accurate? You know what I'm saying? And it's proven. And we're gonna see because Jacob gives a prophecy. This is another one of our what we use to determine. You know what I'm saying? All right, is this actually true? Because everything we say is in the Bible. Nothing we say is not in the Bible. That's why we have class, because we can prove it. We're not just talking. Your teacher ain't just talking. Your teacher ain't gotta talk when she's trying to teach you what 1 + 1 is. She's gonna take you in class and she's gonna prove it to you on the board that 1 + 1 is 2. Well, we have class where we gonna prove to you that 1 + 1 is 2. So Jacob is telling all his 12 sons to gather themselves together, so he can tell them what's gonna happen to them in the last days. If you're not familiar, we are living in the last days. Let's see what he said about God. Boom. Good night. Gad, a troop shall overcome him. Good night, bro. This Bible, calm, mama. The water. I'm saying the water for you. I can't wait to see you. I feel like I ain't seen you in forever. So boom. Jacob is telling his son this. First, he's telling all the tribes something that's gonna happen to them in the end, in the last days. If you don't know, from around the time of Christ, even up until now, we would be living in what's considered the last days. Because out of the cycle that we living in on this earth, we are in the end of it. We are in the end of the reign of heathens. We are in the end of the reign of other nations, the reign of evil. Remember, the scripture said the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. We are in the end of that, and we are going to be in the beginning of the kingdom of heaven. We are going to see Christ return. I was telling somebody on my slave, they was asking me like, yo, do your girl believe in what you believe in? So my red believe in what I believe in, but I am crazy. Us niggas in the ISUPK, we are crazy. We really believe Christ is coming back. A black man from the tribe of Judah is coming back to instill order on this earth and to take it over by war. All of these crimes that was committed by the French, by the British, by Spain, all of these crimes are going to be answered to by Christ. He is coming as the judge. Actually, Genesis 49 says this. You know what I'm saying? A righteous judge. I'm saying the scepter shall not depart from Judah, or a lawgiver from before his feet. So we believe all of this. Now, this is a prophecy about the Native Americans. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, meaning an army is going to take over him. But he shall overcome at the last. Good night. He shall overcome at the last. Meaning, in the end, when it's all said and done, he's going to be the one that's on top. You know what I'm saying? Don't finish the video up. So I do have an article. We're gonna get to it real quick. We're gonna go. So this is the proof. So anybody Native American, anybody have any Native American in them, anybody ever spoke to a Native American and they don't believe that they are descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel, this is more proof for you. The black and brown people build this so-called American con. The tribes that made this system. Yep. Con. Yep. Big shout out to the brothers and sisters in the school. You know what I'm saying? The supporters of this truth. You know what I'm saying? Just know the Most High God is raising our nation up. You know what I'm saying? Just know that. So we got, so boom, we're going to bring this to all the people that don't believe and they think we're making this up. Christopher Columbus traveled with a Hebrew translator, interpreter, meaning Christopher Columbus himself didn't speak Hebrew. He spoke Spanish and English. They spoke Hebrew, so they can translate for him to the natives, whose tongue that. Let me read this one more time. Salafi. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand this tongue. This is why he's speaking English. This is why he's bringing a Hebrew interpreter, because he don't understand their tongue and they don't understand his tongue. And this is proof. This is articles. We have, like the Edomite said, I can't agree with him on that. We have the receipts. We have the documents. We have the Bible. And we can match it up together. Remember, the Bible is a history book. Don't ever let them trick you and tell you this mythology and it's lies and it's just never really happened. This stuff happened. You just have to have the spirit of the Lord to be able to decipher. Otherwise, it's going to sound like a joke. It's going to sound like a novel. You know what I'm saying? It's going to sound like a fantasy. So you got a spirit. The spirit will reveal to you what's true and what's not. You know what I'm saying? Not to say it's nothing true in the Bible, but as far as the doctrine that we was taught, what's not true about it. You know what I'm saying? Because Christianity was built on lies, but was crafted with the truth. Like Christ is the Lord. You know what I'm saying? God is one. There is one. You know what I'm saying? Like they use specific things to cater to the masses, but the doctrine is flawed. And you have to know what's flawed about it. And the Spirit will give you that. This is how we came to the conclusion. And this is how we learned all that. Paraphrasing John chapter 14, verse 26, the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, he is going to come and teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance. Like, this is what this is about. Making you remember. Remember, you are not these people. You are not American. Of course, you're a citizen, but you are from the tribe of Judah. You are from the tribe of Gad, from the nation of Israel. Bun Gad, Bun Yasha'ala. Bun Yahweh, Bun Yasha'ala. I'm saying Bun Shemaiwan, Bun Yasha'ala. It's time to get back our heritage. It's crazy. This is heritage and history. So Columbus and the Jews. Meyer Kayserly. Jews and the first voyage of Columbus. Expulsion of the Jews from Spain. Agreement of Santa Fe. Exodus of the Jews. Columbus preparations and departure. Participation of the Jews in the expedition. These are the words which Columbus began in his journal. Without a word of disappropriation, he thus mentions the tragic event which affected the welfare of hundreds of thousands and which must have produced a profound impression upon the naturally vivacious explorer. His apathetic words are indicative of his fanaticism. This trait he did not, however, import from Italy, which at that time was a preeminent republic and commercial country. A very different spirit was displayed by his countryman, Agostino Giustiniani, the learned bishop of Nibio, who speaks of the Jews expelled from Spain with heartfelt sympathy. He was the first to write a short biographical sketch of this explorer. This sketch, which lauds Columbus, is given incidentally in the bishop's polyglot Psalter in the commentaries on the 19th Psalm. Skip down. The expulsion of the Jews from Spain is closely connected with Columbus's expedition and with the discovery of America, not merely externally in point of time, but also intrinsically. So what happened is, in 1492, Queen Isabella expelled over 100,000 Jews from Spain. You will always hear that black people ruled Europe. Black people were kings and queens in Europe. You'll hear the Moorish people say it, but black people, we were expelled. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are these Jews that were expelled. We were expelled and fled to Africa. So you got some of us that fled into Africa in 70 AD and always dwelt there until then. You got some of us that was sent to Europe in captivity. A lot of us fled into Europe. A lot of us translated, you know what I'm saying, denounced our religion and followed the ways of the people in Europe and became powerful, rose to prominence, and took over rulership of it. You know what I'm saying? So you have us all over the place, like the scriptures say, scattered to the four corners of the earth. But our expulsion from being expelled, this is why it's so important. Us being expelled from Spain, I'm gonna read it again. The expulsion of the Jews from Spain is closely connected with Columbus's expedition. Why? Because we had to get out of there first before he can start his conquest, because we are going to be the people that he enslaved. You know what I'm saying? We are going to be the people that he enslaves and sends to these islands where he goes. Now, while he's doing that, he's bringing, I'm going to see if I can get it. You know what I'm saying? With Columbus' expedition and with the discovery of America. Not in January, as Columbus asserts in his journal, but on March 31st, 1492, the Catholic monarch sent forth from the palace of the Alhambra the edict that all Jews and Jewesses of every age should, on pain of death, leave all the kingdoms and lands of Spain within 4 months. The edict, which was signed by Ferdinand and Isabella, is of a wholly religious character, especially as regards the chief reason given for the act. The reason given is that, in spite of the incessant and most energetic efforts of the Inquisition, the Marranos were beguiled by those who adhered to Judaism to return to their old faith, and that this greatly imperiled the Catholic religion. The Jews were generously allowed to take their property with them by land and water, accepting gold, silver, coin money, and merchandise subject to the laws prohibiting exportation. They could thus take with them only such articles as could be freely exported. So this is a whole different account, you know what I'm saying, about the expulsion of the Jews. But it was one Jew named Louis. Let's see if I can get it. It was one Jew named Louis something. He was a translator. I'm gonna get it real quick for you. Salakia. He was a Hebrew translator. Right. This is him right here. So Luis de Torres was Christopher Columbus's interpreter on his first voyage to America. De Torres was a converso, a Jewish person who was forced to convert to Christianity or be put to death, according to the Spanish Inquisition. Apparently born Joseph Bernard Levi in Magur, Spain. Wow, that's crazy. So he was born Yawasat Bun Loya, meaning he was born Joseph, the son of Levi, an Israelite. The Taurus was chosen by Columbus for his knowledge of Hebrew. Good night. Chaldaic and Arabic. After arriving at Cuba, which he supposed to be the Asian coast, Columbus sent de Torres and sailor Rodrigo de Jerez on an expedition inland on November 2nd, 1492. Their task was to explore the country, contact its ruler, and gather information about the Asian emperor described by Marco Polo as the Great Khan. The two men were received with great honors in the village and returned 4 days later. They reported on the native custom of drying leaves, inserting them in cane pipes, burning them, and inhaling the smoke, a reference to the use of tobacco. When Columbus set off for Spain on January 4th, 93, Luis de Torres was among 39 men who stayed behind at the settlement of La Navidad, founded on the island of Hispaniola. Coming back by the end of that year, Columbus learned that the whole garrison had been wiped out by internal strife and by attack. From 1972 to 2021, a synagogue in the Bahamas existed that was named after de Torres, known as the Luis de Torres Synagogue. The synagogue was named after him due to his involvement in the discovery of the New World. So this is the translator that Christopher Columbus brought along to translate to the native people. And when he came, he was accepted. Now, you see what they was doing on the land. They was smoking cigarettes, smoking tobacco, smoking weed. Like a lot of our people, when the 10 tribes left from the Assyrian captivity and came over here and colonized South Central and North America and the islands in between, our people was not serving God. Like it was a little customs that was similar that they kept, but our people was entirely going off. Just like black people in the west coast of Africa. We wasn't serving Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai in Africa. In Africa, we was worshiping Ogun. We was worshiping the spirits, the ancestors. We was doing all kind of wickedness in Africa. Because just like in America, when we are around heathens, we dim our ways. We stop being strong and proud of who we are and start following their ways. That's always been our story. Always. So it was nothing different with our brothers and sisters in the island. That's how they were able to conquer us. Because we were sinning against God. God sent them against us. Like he said in Deuteronomy 28. I send a fierce nation against thee. And those Edomites, they were fierce. Christopher Columbus also said when he landed, he had never put his sword down. Not once. Not once. You know what I'm saying? So that's that with the translator, the Hebrew translator. So we can tell your Native American and people, if y'all ain't Israel and y'all have no connections to Hebrew, why was Hebrew translators and interpreters brought to this land? Why was Hebrew being found? All Hebrew artifacts being found all throughout this land. That's one of the main reasons why these nutcases and a lot of these conspiracy theories believe that this place over here is Egypt, is Africa, is the Middle East, is the Promised Land. Israel is over here. They believe that because it's so many artifacts that's found over here that correlates directly to the ancient Israelites, that correlates directly to Egypt, that correlates directly to all the places we've been held captivity. And it's no coincidence because the native people of this land came from there. It's not that this is there, it's that the people of this land came from there. Why else would they speak Hebrew? Why else would they be wearing the fringes on their garments with the ribbons of blue? You know what I'm saying? Why else would they wear the headpieces? You know what I'm saying? Like, why else? You got to think about that. You know what I'm saying? So with that, in the class, the brother said he had, or the Slocky, the Edomite said he had a part two. Let's see if it's worthy of another class. But if you just now joining the class, watch the class from the beginning. We went over the indigenous people and the history between them and America, the correlations between blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and also the curses that followed those people and our people. We also touched on the prophecies about the nation of Gad, how they will rise up again. In the end, the nation of, or the tribe of Gad is going to overcome its oppressors. You know what I'm saying? And that's why brotherhood is so important, because if we have to help that. We have to help uplift them. You know what I'm saying? Bring them back to their nationality, to their God. I guess we all are doomed because you are a Jew or Israelite by nationality any more than I am. If you're white, you're not a Jew. You know what I'm saying? If you're a so-called white man, a Caucasian man, you are a descendant of Esau. You are a descendant of the biblical Edomites. And blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel. You know what I'm saying? So with that, shalom. You know what I'm saying? I'll see y'all next week.